Another suggestion, a drama in 7 parts. Any comments would be very gratefully received. Part 1. It is Good Friday, a few minutes before dawn, on the banks of the nearest river or large stream to the parish. Half light echoes through the trees and scatters in drifts across the faces of the gathered children and adults, anticipating the arrival of the sun but not yet broadcasting its blazing reality. Reverend John Present stands closest to the water, facing the gathered people. Behind the gathering, a few yards back from the last straggler, a full-sized wooden cross has been erected and looms over everyone, not yet casting a shadow in the half-light. It was the first act of these travellers, on arriving at the riverbank, to dig a hole in the earth and to sink a strong rectangular open metal casement into which the cross has now been inserted. Reverend Present. I'll start with a poem, if I may. O world invisible, we view thee. O world intangible, we touch thee. O world unknowable, we know thee. Inapprehensible, we clutch thee. Does the fish soar to find the ocean, the eagle plunge to find the air, that we ask of the stars in motion if they have rumour of thee there? Not where the wheeling systems darken and are benumbed, conceiving soars. The drift of pinions, would we hearken, beats at our own clay-shuttered doors. The angels keep their ancient places, turn but a stone and start a wing. He pauses for a moment, as if he has seen something on the ground below, drops down suddenly onto his haunches, and then prizes a fist-sized rock away from its mooring on the earth. Instantaneously there erupts into the pregnant silence the quiet, startled beating of wings shooting up into the heights of the dawn sky. Reverend Present, equally startled himself, follows the spiralling, invisible to the others, climb of this winged being as it beats away into the sky. This had all been carefully pre-planned beforehand, of course. Then he straightens up and continues, pointing, for his audience's benefit, to the rock he is still holding in his hand. Yes, the angels keep their ancient places, turn but a stone and start a wing. 'Tis ye, 'tis your estranged faces that miss the many splendid thing. But when so sad thou canst not sadder, cry, and upon thy so sore loss shall shine the traffic of Jacob's ladder, pitched between heaven and Charing's cross. Yea, in the night, my soul, my daughter, cry, clinging heaven by the hems, and lo, Christ walking on the water, not of Gennesareth, but Thames. Gingerly he steps out onto the water, taking several strides over its surface, not puncturing the surface tension at all, as easily as if it was solid ground. There are cries of alarm from the congregation, even though they probably do half know that he walks on carefully pre-positioned, flat-topped rocks. Not of Gennesareth, but Thames. Not of Sea of Galilee, but Lake Windermere. Not of Mount of Olives, but Scafell Pike. But I'll get on to that later, in 51 days' time, to be precise. Now, where was I? Yes. Not of Gennesareth, but Thames. Christ walking on the water of the river Mersey, not on the Sea of Galilee. also known as Gennesareth. Jacob's ladder pitched between heaven and Charing Cross, or actually between heaven and Piccadilly Station, seeing as we're in Manchester. What on earth was Francis Thompson, the author of this poem, trying to get at when he wrote these words? Just this: God is so powerful that he can't be contained by the past. Instead, he explodes out of the present. And not just out of the present, but out of every single one of all of the 6.5 billion presents that currently inhabit the earth, including all of the 233 presents here present. I counted everybody on the coach. You should have known that. In other words, God is alive and kicking inside every one of us right now, here at this very moment, like a baby banging on the walls of his mother's womb, impatient to get on with the business of being born. Well, that's all very well, I hear you say, but why are we here at this ungodly hour? Well, actually, it's not ungodly at all, this hour. It's the most beautiful, most godly hour of the whole day, when, against all the odds, the miracle of light begins to seep out into the world once more. Not for nothing did Zechariah say, "The loving kindness of the heart of our God, who visits us like the dawn from on high." In other words, he had his head screwed on, did Zechariah, when, struggling for words before the sheer naked impossibility of what was happening before his eyes, he chose to compare one miracle, the mercy of God, with another, the rising of the sun, the dawn. Gibberish, I hear you cry. What's miraculous or impossible about the rising of the sun and the coming out of light onto our riverbank at dawn? It's the most natural, the most predictable thing in the world. But is it? How does the sun work?